Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Our first story is about what the main character did after his family was insulted. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Insult my father-in-law? I'll get you fired and shunned from the only career you've ever had. This story was told to me about 10 years ago by the guy my dad worked for, who also happened to be a Texas state representative. We'll call him Mark. Mark is a pretty simple guy. He has an exorbitantly rich, daddy's money, wife who is an extraordinarily kind woman, despite her birthright. This will be important later. One day, Mark tries to pass some basic legislature that will piss off the restaurant lobbyists a little bit, but in the end benefit the safety and health of the entire state. One lobbyist in particular takes great issue with this. He seems to take this crap personally. Any speaking event or public appearance Mark makes, this guy is there, heckling and booing. One day, Mark tries to calmly talk to the guy one-on-one to see what his problem is, and the guy just loses it. He insults Mark's father-in-law, wife, young kids, and basically anyone he's ever known. Mark takes a minute to process the guy's rant and shakes his head, patting the guy on the shoulder and walking off. Here's where the revenge comes in. Almost as soon as he's back in his office, Mark starts writing the most bullcrap, hilarious legislature to F with the restaurant lobby. Stuff like, all ingredients in a menu item must be displayed on the menu in double-spaced 12-point font, or no more than 10 designated parking spaces per restaurant. This sets the lobby off, and they have to work their butts off to keep this stuff out of Congress. Eventually, another lobbyist asks Mark why he hates their lobby so much. Mark calmly replies, I don't hate your lobby, I hate a-hole's name. Needless to say, his entire lobby turns against him, fires him, and he can never be a lobbyist again. And our second story. Follow the rules? Guess you don't need sleep. A little background. I'm a retired state park supervisor, and this happened a couple of years before I retired. The way the department is organized is that there are 3 divisions: parks, maintenance, and administration. The parks is responsible for the day-to-day operations of a park. Maintenance handles all major construction and repair projects, the motor pool, equipment maintenance, etc., and administration handles the budgets, hiring, legal, contracts, and so on. The parks in an area are in a group with a group manager, with a maintenance group with its own manager for support. The manager titles fell under administration, so someone with that title could be assigned to either parks or maintenance. So on to the story. Our longtime group manager retired, and we waited to see who the new manager would be. It's never a quick process, bureaucracy in action, but after several months, new guy was appointed as our group manager. He came in from another region, really excited about the promotion, but had never worked at a park, just in maintenance. About a month after he got there, it was time for the spring meeting of our group supervisors and assistant supervisors. This is where he announced that we were going to go by the book from now on. All overtime requests had to be approved by him first before any overtime was put in. Additionally, work schedule changes for us and our staffs had to be approved by him with at least 1 week's notice. Now, technically, he was correct. Those are the rules for state employees and what he was used to. But we had always been more flexible out of practical necessity. One of the things about the park side was that during camping season, we were required to have a supervisor on site 24/7, so we lived at our parks. It wasn't too bad. We had a cabin which doubled as our headquarters, and it saved a lot on travel. The downside was that you had days where you were sleep deprived, since some nights you'd be woken up to take care of some problem. Once the camping season was over, we were generally working from home at our group headquarters or helping out the maintenance group with repairs in the parks. Our previous managers had all done some time in the parks, so they knew what it was like. They told us to just take care of whatever issue happened and then email any incident reports and overtime requests to them the next day. They considered staff scheduling to be our job. Our staffs were seasonal employees, college students, retirees, etc., and in order to accommodate various appointments, family issues, etc., we'd allow them to swap days with each other or make up lost time. As long as staffers worked their 40 hours and the park was staffed, everyone was happy. But that was not going to be allowed any longer. His other policy change was that we were to call him immediately if we had to call in the police, the fire department, forest rangers, game wardens, an ambulance, or directed someone to a clinic for a medical issue. We all tried to talk him out of this, but he wasn't budging. A lot of shared looks, eye rolls, and shrugged shoulders resulted as we all reached the same conclusion. After the meeting, my assistant asked me what I thought, and I said, "He's really going to regret this. He has no idea what he's in for." Once the season started, he found out. Oh boy, did he find out. He got phone calls at all hours of the day and night, 7 days a week. Someone woke us up at 1 a.m. with a complaint that we had to go to address, phone call requesting overtime. My kid's sick, where's the nearest clinic? Phone call. Called the police to deal with some drunk idiots? Phone call. Bear in the park had the game wardens in? Phone call. Every time we got asked to handle something outside of normal hours or on his list, he got a phone call. He'd asked for it, he got it. With all the calls from every supervisor and assistant in our group, I don't think he got more than 1 or 2 nights of uninterrupted sleep a week. And I heard his wife wasn't happy about the constant calls to their house. To add to this workload, we made sure to send him emails documenting the reasons for each phone call. We sent in forms we'd been told years before weren't required. New guy hadn't requested them, but why should we leave it to chance? He was tied to his desk, answering the phone and trying to read the flood of emails, forms, and reports he was getting. We were following his instructions to the letter, and then some. This went on for about 5 weeks, and then we got an email from him. He was resigning as our group manager and going back to his old job in maintenance. It had taken us just a little over a month to break him. I heard he was a lot happier back there, and I hope he learned the truth of the old saying, "Be careful what you wish for. You might just get it." And our last story. Revenge on cheating wife, now ex, as well as the karma that came afterwards. So I'm in the Army, and I was married. I was approaching my first deployment to Iraq. It was very stressful, and it had my wife wanting me to find a way to stay and not deploy. Obvious things any wife would try to talk about. Anyways, so we have no kids, but both wanted them. So we talk about getting out of debt while I'm gone. She talks to her best friend back home in another state where we're both from. Her friend agrees to let her move in and charge a modest $300 in rent so that we can get out of debt and start a family when I come back. A plan I was actually very pleased with. I deploy, she's there crying her eyes out saying she'll miss me and loves me and we'll start a family when we get back. Fast forward 2 months. She starts acting distant, not wanting to talk much on our scheduled calls or text back 1 or 2 word answers. We've been together 6 years and she's never at a loss for words. Anyway, one day she says, "I need some space." She asked someone who's 10,000 miles away for space? I say, why does she say she needs space? She says she wants to find herself. So I remember back when we lived at home, she had a guy who was always being borderline inappropriate. I'm not a very jealous person and I trust her. So I start seeing said guy on basically all of her pictures she posts with the group. Every time he's in the picture, everyone else changes, but never him. So for the first time, I'm very jealous and uneasy about everything. So I clone her phone so I receive every text she receives, as well as every text she sends. I'll never forget the first text I saw after cloning her phone. "Hey babe, I'll see you after work. Want me to save you any of my leftovers?" From her to him. It destroyed me. I lost 35 pounds in a week. I didn't eat or sleep. I stared at the phone, watching every conversation, watching them talk about trying to have a baby. It was literally everything a married person fears. I ask her if she's seeing someone, and she says no, she isn't. She's taking care of herself, and she loves me, blah, blah, blah. I don't say anything about receiving her text for 2 months. Over this time, she finally admits cheating and that he's so much better than me at sex, treating her right, and he does what she wants. During this time, she pays our debt off, gets tattoos with him, matching I love you tattoos, goes to shows with him, buys clothes, etc., with the money I'm making. So this is where the revenge starts. I put a freeze on the account for a month. In that time, I change every password to every account to things she won't guess, Army jargon slang terms. I block her on Facebook and my phone so she has no way to contact me. She lost her car to repo a few months later, got kicked out of her place, had to sell her prized shoes and purses just to stay alive. I then find out she got a job at her old restaurant. So I post all the text conversations I have with her and the guy she's talking about having babies that have timestamps on it, as well as post conversations we had with the matching timestamps showing all of our friends what she has done. I then have friends call and complain at her job constantly on both he and her. They work at a restaurant, so I also have friends dine and dash. They both get fired. So she tries to call my command and tell them that I'm abandoning her and she can't provide for herself. My commander knows what's going on. He does nothing because he had something similar happen. Then about a month before I come back, she calls me from another number to tell me she's pregnant with his kid. Mind you, I'm still gone, so we cannot get divorced yet. She moved away with him, 10 hours from me. April 24th, 2018, she calls me 5 months pregnant, crying uncontrollably, asking me where she should go. Apparently, they had a giant blow-up fight. She tells him she's leaving. She says she doesn't know where to go, and I simply say, "Sorry, not my problem anymore." Fast forward to January of this year. She calls me from a mutual friend's phone. Her, "He hit me. IDK what to do." Me, "Maybe you don't cheat on your husband when he's deployed for some guy who talks a big game." "Well, I guess you sure are happy about this." "No, but I'm glad I know I'm not the bad guy in this story." I did tell her to call the cops, but that's all I did. It's not right to abuse someone, but I also have no responsibility to watch out for her well-being. And then the next month, "He's cheating on me. I'm sorry. I regret everything I did. I effed it all up." Yeah, you did. All in all, this woman destroyed my life, put me into a deep depression I'm still dealing with, but I do feel a little better having proof that I wasn't the problem. To think, if this happened 10 or even 5 years ago, I would have come back to an empty bank account, an empty house, as well as seeing my then-wife pregnant with another man's baby. She actually hit me up yesterday to ask for some money to help cover rent. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.